Talk and rock radio, where friends meet at the intersection of life, inspiration, and music. Here's your host, Rick Kern.
Welcome, everyone, to Talk and Rock Radio. Since starting my weekly podcast, I've interviewed Grammy-nominated recording artists, gold and platinum record producers and musicians, and a slew of great musicians. Today's guests not only meet the components of being great musicians, but one of them owned their own dinner club where they played for years. From the Sojourners, we have today Ron Gorton and Randy Jones. Welcome, guys.
Welcome. Thank you.
How y'all doing?
Pretty good for old guys.
Well, first thing I want to say to Randy is, how are things with the fire up there, man? What's happening today?
We got about 50% contained.
Yeah.
So it's they had a line around the fire, so and it's not going to cross over. So I think they pretty much got this. It's only about 25 acres.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm
yeah. It's I know it's the weekend and all that. And it's gonna be hot and windy, but it seems like they got a good hold on it.
Yeah. Well, that's the time of the year up there where you guys have to worry about these fires. It's horrible, but I'm glad you're not in harm's way, and hopefully our musician friends that are up there and everything are not in harm's way too. We need to say our prayers for them. But since we're talking about Randy here, he lives in Ruidoso, New Mexico, and why don't we talk a little bit about, I know you played for the last 20 years or so with the Flying J Wranglers. You want to talk a little bit about that? I know after you left El Paso and went up to Ruidoso, you want to talk a little bit about what you've been doing?
Oh, yeah. Like I say, I played with Flying J for 20 years. Finally got where I just couldn't do it anymore. It was messing up my knees and all the standing and lifting. We're all still friendly and we're all still families. That's good. But now I'm just after I retired, a couple of groups wanted me to join them, and it just didn't quite work out. And these guys came along. This group called Bonfire, just guitar and bass, and my electric guitar, and all we do is classic country. I haven't rehearsed once with them, so it's fun. Everybody, there's no egos, and we're just having a good time. Not working that much. They don't really want to, and I don't really want to. So it's perfect.
Where are you playing, Randy? When you guys do play?
Let's see. Saturday morning we're playing over at the winery up at by Alto.
Okay.
Jasper.
Right. Okay.
Riddle's place. Yeah. And we'll be doing Saturday morning there, just 12 to 2. So
very cool.
I like those kind of gigs where you just play in the afternoon, play a couple hours, and go home.
Well, I know, and we so miss seeing you play. We used to come up there year after year. I know Sharon and I would go up there and see the Wranglers. Gosh, I think out of 39 shows, I think we went to 36 or 37 of them every season. And of course, we always enjoyed you. And of course, you always helped us getting of good front row seats.
The best seats in the house.
That's right. We always appreciated that. Well, let's jump over to Ron. So what have you been doing, man?
Well, I am teaching special ed school here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And in fact, I was teaching school this morning for summer school. And I love doing it. I really do.
That's great. How did you get into teaching, man, from being a musician? I know, well, before that, you were working, selling fish or something, working for brokering for food or something, right?
Yeah, Seattle Fish Company. I worked there 22 years, and I retired there, and I loved it. But it's a funny story because when I owned the International Club, I didn't do anything in the daytime because we didn't even open until 5 o'clock. So I asked my mom, who worked for the El Paso Public Schools, what do you think I could do in the daytime? She said, why don't you substitute school and tell them you'll take special ed. They'll call you every day. So one time they called me and I had a class for 2 weeks. The teacher was out, I think, pregnant or something. And so I brought my guitar to school and I put their names in the songs like Jenny, come out and play red light, green light, stuff like that, And I put
He
their
still
names
got
in
it.
it.
Have you been drinking today, Ron?
No. But anyway, about 2 years later, I stopped doing that, and I was stopped at a stoplight. I think it was Copia on some street, Aurora, and all of a sudden I hear these kids go, "Hi, Mr. Gordon." They're waving at me. It was those kids that I put the names in the songs. And I
Oh,
told myself, someday I'm going to teach special ed kids. And that's what I did when I retired.
God bless you for
Yep.
that, man. That's so cool. And they need special people like you, teachers that do that, because it's not an easy job, is it?
Oh, no, it isn't. But you know what? You make a difference.
Well, you do, and
I like that.
that's what it's all about, man. Just making the difference in the kids' lives and letting them know how special they are too. So
Yeah.
they just have a little bit different requirements.
Yes, they do.
And
Special needs, they
yes,
call it.
yeah,
Mm, yeah.
exactly. Well, I want to. I got a couple stories I want to share today on this episode, and the first one that I'm going to talk about, and I know we all are going to talk stories today, but I want to say how cool it is for me to be talking with you guys, because tomorrow's going to be my anniversary for
Wow.
49 years to
49. Golly.
God.
and,
Oh.
and Randy went to school with Sharon. I mean, they went to high school together in Austin. And anyway, but what I wanted to share with you guys is that you both are kind of responsible for Sharon and I meeting again, and it was in 1969. I had originally met Sharon the year before. The El Paso Downtown Lions Club. I wasn't a member of the club yet, but they were putting on an annual variety show at Liberty Hall, and
Yeah, man,
Sharon.
that was a cool place.
Oh, yeah, it was great. And anyway, the year before, I had a band that was playing down in the orchestra pit, and Sharon and her best friend Pat Krause, at the time, she wasn't married yet. Um, they were go-go dancers up on stage, and so yeah, and it was really really cool, And anyway, it was kind of fun because Mike Wall and Mike was the lead singer in our band, and we tried to get Pat and Sharon to after the show to go over to Juarez with us, and go check out Long John or whatever, and they
Yep.
wouldn't
Right.
go, man. They for some reason they just didn't trust us, I guess, or something. I don't know, crazy musicians. So anyway, I had to give that backstory to this because in '69 we wanted to go to see this group called the Sojourners, and of course I was 19 years old. There was no way I could get into the club, so I asked my mom and dad if they would be willing to take me to see the Sojourners, and they agreed. So I got my date, and I went and picked her up and went back to my parents' house. They took us over, and we got into the club, and I'm sitting there, and my dad whispered over to me. He said, "Look over there. I think that's Sharon from last year at the show." And I said, "Yeah, you're right, Dad." So I excused myself from my date. I said, "I need to run to the restroom. Pardon me for a sec." So I went to the restroom, and then I kind of snuck back around the back way and went over to Sharon. She was sitting there with Rick Stone, the road manager for the Bobby Fuller Four. They were good friends. They weren't dating or anything. They were just good friends. And so I I I went up to Sharon. I said, "Can I get your phone number?" And she said, "Yeah." So she gave it to me. Within the week, I called her. We had our first date, and And the rest is history. We got married 3 years later in 72, and tomorrow will be 49 years. So,
Wow.
so thank you
Maybe.
guys. Thank you guys for not only for a good show that night, which we loved you all, and but I got to meet up with the lady in my life. So that was kind of cool that worked out the way it did.
Yeah,
That's
we
so
planned it that
wonderful.
way.
Yeah, you planned it that
Yeah,
way.
yeah. Yeah, we knew you were coming.
Yeah.
Surprise, Rick.
Yeah. Yay. All right.
We
Well,
got you all set
I'll
up for the
tell
rest of your
you-
life.
what was
I'll tell you another amazing thing is your dad was my mom and dad's pet doctor. He was a vet, right?
Yeah, he was.
And so that's another connection. It's like El Paso's small place,
Yeah, it is. It's crazy small world. I was talking to Bruce Van Hasselen yesterday, a drummer that did play with you guys briefly. Sat in a
Yes.
few times, and anyway, we were chit-chatting about the old days and everything, and my dad took care of all of his pets and everything too. So that
Wow.
that name comes up a lot. Dad took care of a lot of families and their pets in El Paso. So it goes back quite a few years. We sure miss him a lot.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, let's talk a little bit about the International Club. I made in the intro, I made reference to the fact that you all played at the club that Ron was part owner of, and that was kind of cool. I know we went out there and did see you numerous times, but talk about that a little bit, Ron.
Well, we actually played there as a group, the Sojourners, before I owned it. And it was a guy who it was a steakhouse, really. And we played there, and it wasn't any big deal. And we kept playing, and the crowd kept growing. More and more people would come to see us. And then eventually, a guy named Bud Seitz and I, in fact, I went to school with his sister, bought the club. After we had recorded with Norman Petty and I got a little extra money from our records and whatever, we bought the club, and things just started really getting really big. We eventually wanted to use the club as a place to come back to when we were on the road, because we had an agent by then, and we would come back and we'd have a place to play. But all these other groups started playing there, fantastic groups. Even Rod Crosby played there. I had Rod play there for a while, and a group called Highway.
Yep.
And they were fantastic. Remember Highway, Randy?
Yeah, sure do.
Yeah, they cranked it up in there. They really did. And they were a great group, so it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. It was fantastic,
One of the members of they were called Peppermint Highway before they became Highway, and one of the members of that group is a psychologist now, or psychiatrist. I think he's psychologist, a doctor out in. I'm trying to remember. It seemed like San Jose or somewhere out in California, but I've got his name and phone number, and someday we're going to do an episode and talk about Highway. That group, I didn't really ever get to hear them because we were on the road. By the time they became really popular and were playing clubs and everything, we were already out at El Paso and out in L.A. But someday I want to get some of their recordings and check them out. But you all had a lot of really cool groups coming in and out of there, though. I do remember that. And you also had some times where you had some really A players in there, right, Ron? Like Joni. Yeah.
I think what it was when these groups came into town to play a concert or something, and after the concert they go to the people hanging around there and they go, "Hey, where can we go? What's a hot spot?" So were we playing when the Turtles walked in, Randy, or I don't know what happened.
What?
When the Turtles came in, were we playing or something? They walked in, the Turtles, and they got up on stage. And they even asked me, "Could we get up and play?" And I said, "Well, sure." So they got up there and they played So Happy Together. I think that was a big song, right? Box Tops came in. In fact, we played at the Coliseum with Box Tops, and they wanted to go to Juarez afterwards because they'd heard about Long John. But then they came back after that and played there. So, and then Joni Mitchell, she didn't play, but she was in there. And then part of the group called I can't remember their name. Darn it. They came in and played. Black Guy, remember that, Randy?
No.
No.
Must not been there that night.
A lot of people would come in and play and whatever because we were the hot spot in town, you know.
Yeah, for those of you all out there that don't know where the International was, it was right there in the in the Loretto shop. But
we'd get 200-300 people in there.
Well, yeah, you had a neat. It was a neat place. I really remember a lot, and I remember one of the things that you all did when Bert went into his drum solo. Bert Peters, he would play all over his kit, and then he would end up out in the audience going from table to table, playing his little cool rudiments all over the people's glasses and hitting their plates and everything.
Tables. Yeah.
I started off doing that at the Knights Club.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
Randy, remember?
Yeah, we were playing.
Club, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're playing that Sonny Cher song, Beat Goes On. And we'd stop, and that's when his solo would go. And people, every table right around the dance floor lined up and, filled up with empty glasses.
Do you remember, Randy, when we first got remote mics and Herman Glopp went into the men's bathroom and interviewed somebody?
You've seen House of the Rising Sun, I think.
Huh?
I think you've seen House of the Rising Sun.
Yeah, and he went in the bathroom and started interviewing a guy who was out there peeing. Oh, my gosh. It was embarrassing, but everybody could hear in the whole place.
That's better than Man on the Street, man. That's man at the head. I don't know.
At the head, right? Oh my gosh, that was something else.
That's funny. When we were playing the Knights Club around that same time, in '69, we my band, the Basic Sound. Were the house band there. We were playing there like 6 nights a week part of the time, and then part of the time we'd be there 3 nights, and then 3 nights over at the Jet Set where we saw you all play because they were part of the Jerry Wolf restaurant group. He owned them both. But we did a bit similar to that. We did we called it Candid Microphone, and what we did is one day when we were rehearsing, I had taken the recorder in there, and I had made it a point to drink a lot of water, and went into the restroom and recorded myself going to the bathroom, and and it went on and on and on forever, and then it was crazy. What we did is we hooked the tape recorder through the PA system and through the house PA, and what we did is when a guy would go in there, we would tell the audience, now everybody, he doesn't know what we've done, but we put a microphone in there, and we're going to turn it on here in a minute, and you can hear what's going on. And so you hear the whole process of going to the bathroom and then flushing the toilet, the whole bit. And then we said, now when the guy walks out of the club, we'll give you the cue and applaud him and everything. He won't know what's going on. And so the guy walks out, and they start applauding, and the guy's looking like, what the heck, and then we let him in on the joke, but that was, I think we only did that a couple times. It didn't become part of our regular sets, but it was fun.
You remember,
yeah.
You remember Bud Nichols?
Yeah, Bud was great. Bud was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was our last night there for a while. We're going to go hit the road, and he was doing all this complimentary type stuff on us, and I don't know who had a cream pie in the face with it.
Oh, no, really? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Remember
that was the last night we were there. We slapped him with a cream pie. Oh, God.
I remember
forgot about that.
I remember Bud so well. He was always dressed to the tens. I mean, this guy,
Yeah.
looked sharp. He had beautiful women around him. I mean, he was just a great manager to work for. And you remember Charlie, Big Charlie that worked there?
Yeah, the woman bartender.
Yeah.
Bartender, yeah.
Charlie ended up marrying our bass player, Gail Hageman. And when we went on the
I know
road,
Gail.
yeah, when we went on the road, we had just finished playing the Red out on Dyer Street, the Red Flame.
Red Flame, yeah.
We were at the Red Flame for a year with a band called Macadamia, and it was basically our same band as Basic Sound without Jim Reese. We had Sam Stevenson and Dick Greco, myself, and Gail on bass. And around that time, Gail had married Charlie, and
Wow.
and when we went on the road, Charlie and him, went with us. We later on, made some personnel changes in the group out there, and Gail and Charlie ended up coming back. But anyway, those were crazy times. Knights Club was a great place.
Well,
It
I
was.
think I hired Charlie at the International Club, didn't I, Randy? I thought I did. For a
I thought
bartender.
you worked. Yeah, I know. I thought you worked over at the Knights Club. You could have worked both places.
Yeah. Well, I don't
Not
know.
at the same time, but
I remember the Knights Club, too, when we started playing, they had to open up 2 more rooms.
I know.
And eventually that place sat like 500 or 600 people. It was amazing.
Yeah, that was before they remodeled the club. When they remodeled the club, it was all self-contained. But yeah, they went through some transitions there, and we were there. We were the house band there for 3 years, and then the 6th column came in. Fred Kinley and the guys.
Oh, wow, Fred.
Yeah, and Bruce Van Hasselen played with Fred and them for a while too. But I'm curious, man. You guys couldn't get along with drummers or what? How come so many drummers went through your band?
Well, I don't know. Why did Bert leave, Randy? I don't remember.
Oh man, that's so far back, and that was kind of in our partying days too. So
Well, that's true.
got a lot of memories erased right on the spot there.
Well, that's why the memories aren't working very well. Too much partying.
Yeah,
That's true. We got
what
Bert.
did I do last night?
Yeah.
Barry Davis came with us. And before Bert, we had somebody else.
Well, Barry Davis played. Bert played with you. Bruce Van Hasselen played.
Andre played.
Andre played. Dalton played.
Andre played, right? Yeah. Dalton. And then we had, after Randy left, we had Jack Woodbury and Jim Reese.
Yep.
But you guys had these people too. And Randy played with these people later. And I don't know. Everybody kind of moved all around.
I didn't play that much at your club, 'cause I think I was just about the time just kind of wanted to leave. I think you're playing a lot stronger rock and roll than I was really felt like I was capable of at the time. And
exactly. Yeah.
But
yeah,
we had a good run.
Yeah, the Sojourners. You all didn't play a lot of hard rock. You played stuff like by the Guess Who and stuff like that.
Folk rock.
Folk rock.
Yeah.
I think that's what you
Poco, Richie Furay kind of stuff, for what it's worth, things like that, But,
right, Buffalo Springfield.
Yeah, Buffalo Springfield. I remember it very, very well. And, of course, the one that I really remember very well is a song that Randy wrote.
Summer days, why can't they stay forever? But while they're here, let's make most of summer days. We can look and find a spot to lie. We'll kiss and let the days pass us by. Summer days.
Talk about it, Randy.
Some summer days.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was going to Texas Western, and I just decided I don't want to go to classes today. So I drove way out on the east side, kind of where the red sands are, and just parked out there. All of a sudden, the lyrics started just coming to me. They're coming to me faster than I could write it. And I was still a music major over there at the college, and that's when I put that 12-string Bach type lead on it. But yeah, it's one of those things just happened.
Just came to you, huh?
Yeah, like it was just ready to burst out.
And we decided to record it at Norman Petty Studios.
In Clovis,
Up in Clovis.
That was really great that we did that, because we're still getting some notoriety on that because of Norman Petty. Norman Petty has his own,
Museum, everything.
Museum and a place on the internet and all that.
Right.
So you can even hear our song there.
You, Randy, and Ron, and myself were asked to be part of the Norman Petty tribute there in Ruidoso at the at the Museum of the Horse that one of your bandmates, Richard Chorne, organized. And that was a lot of fun because the Fireballs were there that day, and of course they recorded a lot at the Petty Studios, and
they also watched us record.
Yeah, you were telling me that.
Remember, Randy? Yeah.
Yeah, we're nervous. That's the first time we've ever been in a studio, and they're kind of sitting there, calming us down a little bit, and kind of joking around, and it made it so much easier.
Yeah. Was George and Stan and Gilmer, they all were there with you that day?
I don't think Gilmer was.
Gilmer was?
I don't
Jimmy
think
Gilmer.
there was about three of them, I think.
Yeah. Well, I stay in touch with a couple of them. In fact, I saw George Tomsko at the one of the last nights I saw you, Randy, before you retired with the Wranglers. Yeah. George was there that night, so we embraced embracios and talked for a while and everything. He's a good guy, and there was a lot of great people that came out of that studio up there, and it was fun sharing the dais with you guys because we all shared our stories and talked about Norman and Vi and how they impacted the music industry. I mean, with Roy Orbison and Buddy Holly and everything back in the days. That was the place to record.
He even played on one of our records when we came up there because, remember, Randy, we got this guy. He was a horn player, but he eventually, on our way up there, was on drugs or something. He freaked out, and we had to leave him somewhere. Remember that, Randy?
And now I do.
And and so Norman said, well, I'll play that part, and he played it on the organ, but it sounded like a horn. Our Way to Go or something.
Yeah. Or life developing
we
slide.
had to leave that guy. We left him in Alamogordo or someplace.
Probably Roswell.
Maybe Roswell, yeah. That's more
going to Clovis.
He was flipping out. He was like, peaking or something.
So he played on the flip side of Sun Summer Days? Is that right?
Oh, no. This is a different record.
Oh, okay.
We recorded 2 records with Norman Petty.
Well, let's go ahead.
The other record was Benny Hester songs.
Oh, yeah. Wonder what happened to him.
I already got into gospel music.
Well, really? Wow. Huh.
So talk about your time in Nashville. When Kenny Smith and Bill Taylor were doing their things with Sumi Records over there. Is that when you did the other record over there with them?
No, the second record was done at Norman Petty's also.
Okay. So what did y'all do in Nashville?
I didn't go out there when those guys had it.
I didn't either.
Oh, okay. I thought for sure you guys did a traveling over that direction too with them.
Kenny Smith's partner did. In fact, that's where he came from, I think. Right?
Yeah, that's Bill Taylor. Yeah.
Bill Taylor.
Yeah.
Bill Taylor. Right.
That's who had married Karen Burke. became Karen Burke Taylor, and then she's now married to a different guy. They had divorced rather, and so now she's Karen Taylor Good, and she lives in Nashville. But
she was out there one of the Border Legend deals, wasn't she?
She was. She was the MC for my very first Border Legends in 2000.
Yeah, I remember that name.
2009. She came in from Nashville to MC it, and and Bill Taylor, her ex, came in also, and Kenny Smith, who played with you guys. Kenny was, bless his soul, was supposed to be there that night, and if he had been there, we would have had everybody there except for Bert, you know.
Oh my gosh!
But yeah, Kenny's wife had broke her arm like the day before he was going to come to El Paso, and so he never made it. And you know, God rest his soul. He passed not too long after that, you know. But we were real close. We talked a lot, and he was doing podcasts back in 2009. I mean, it's amazing because I came across one the other day, and it was an episode talking about the Sojourners, and yeah, it was really, really cool. And I reposted it up on Facebook. But he was quite a guy. I know for my 21st birthday, I think, or something, he had sent me everything that he had recorded and everything, you know, with on the Sumi label. You know, I mean, we had all kinds of groups on there. I mean, you all, and just a bunch of really neat stuff that I still have on DVDs that he had recorded for me. And
yeah, I've got an album with the bunch of El Paso musicians did that. I Love You, Gorgo.
Oh yeah, great one. Great.
Oh
one.
yeah.
And it's a real hard one to find anymore. You can't find them, you know. And if you do, you're going to pay. I've heard upwards of $400 or $500 for it. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
really.
Online, and even Sun Summer Days. Last time I saw it, it was $7.
Good for you, man. Well, we when I did an episode about my band, we when we had gotten off the road and came back to El Paso, I think it was Rick Benitez, drummer for Rod Crosby now. My daughter Nicole was going over to spend the night with Rick's daughter Camille at her house, and we always made it a practice to meet the parents of the kids where our kids were going to be going, and you know,
Sure.
staying and all that. And so I go up the door with my daughter, and I ring the doorbell, and the guy answers the door, and he says, "I know you." And I said, "I know you." It was Rick Benitez. And he said, "And I have your album." And I'm going, "What? You have my album?" I said, "We never sold that album in El Paso. We always sold it off the stage or whatever, you know, when we were on the road, or we would use the records to promote the band, you know, ahead of time with the radio stations and stuff like that when we were traveling all over the U.S. And he said, "Well, I've got it." And I said, "Where did you find it?" And he said, "I think I found it at a Goodwill store or something." I said, "What did you pay for it?" And he said, "Oh, like a couple dollars or whatever." And I said, "Well, I've still got a 20-cent royalty coming to me somewhere. I don't know if I'll ever get it."
Oh yeah, right.
But
I look back on all that, Randy, and think of all the opportunities we missed merchandising. We could have sold our records in the club. We could have made T-shirts, Sojourner T-shirts or something, and sold that.
Oh yeah.
We didn't do any of that.
well,
we had a good time.
yeah, you definitely could have done that, but I don't think back in those days you didn't see a whole lot of that. You know, these days, yeah, you do. You go see Del Castillo or, you know, Ryan McGarvey at State Line, you know, summer concert series, and they're always out there peddling their T-shirts and DVDs and everything. It's really cool, you know. But back in those days, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have a lot of the stuff, you know, that we could certainly would have been neat, you know.
Yeah, we traveled all over the country, you know. You guys did too.
Yeah.
No cell phones.
No.
Yeah, had to take a map and then hit a phone booth.
Yeah, we had to use real maps those days.
Yeah.
We did.
I remember one time we were down south somewhere and we're getting off the freeway, and Bert was in his car. He just kept going straight down the freeway. But how are we gonna get in touch with this guy? He was just oblivious. Didn't see us turn off.
Oh no.
Somewhere in Louisiana before we hit Florida or something, I think. But wow. We traveled all over the place.
Oh man! When we first went on the road and worked out of an agency in Fort Worth, but we like probably the lowest on the totem pole. So he sent us over to Quincy, Illinois, then down to Key West, Florida, and up to Fort Walton Beach, Florida, and every gig was at least about 600 miles away.
How long did you all do that? What year did you start doing that, and how long did it last?
2 years.
How many?
2 years.
2 years. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah,
it got pretty old.
We did it for 3.5, continually traveling. We did 3 tours of Canada, and then the rest of the time we were in all the states. We used to say from the Ritz to and the other word starts with an S. Okay, I'm not going to say that, but you know what I mean. Yeah. We experienced the highs and the lows, and we heard it, saw it all. But anyway, it's part of the.
I'm glad. Good fishing. Remember our old fishing we did in Florida? That was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there were some good times, but all good things come to an end, Jim.
Well,
I don't even want to leave the house anymore.
You did it also with Moon Pie, Randy.
Yeah.
Right after you got done with the Sojourners, did you go right into Moon Pie then, or what? Who were you playing with?
I was playing off and on with the Shade Tree Boys too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Henry Beebe, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And Hal Smith.
Yeah, and Hal Smith. Yeah.
You're amazing, Rick, that you know all these names.
Well, I try, man. I mean, that's how I keep my mind active, trying to remember all this stuff. And then when I get on the phone with guys like you that remember even more, and then it helps me out, and it just kind of, snowballs, That's what was happening with Bruce yesterday when we were on the phone, is he was mentioning a few names, and then, like Wally Gordon, I forget that name a lot, but lately it's been coming to me because he was a member of the band called the Cinders along with Bruce, and Wally went to Sleta High School where I did, and we knew each other real well, played with each other a little bit, and then we kind of lost track. Last time I saw him, he was up in Ruidoso working construction, but I don't know. That's so many years ago, probably 20, 30 years ago. So I don't know where he's at now. But
there was another guy in town that kind of helped us a lot. Remember Sonny Melendres?
Oh, yeah.
Sonny Melendres?
Yeah, Randy?
Yeah.
We got the slot. We were on his TV show, and in fact, KINT, Sun Summer Days got up to number 11, I remember. And at KELP, it only got up to like 30-something or so. Whatever, but it was kind of cool.
Well, if you guys go back to mytalkinrockradio.com and look up about my 4th or 5th episode, you not only will hear, but you will see Sonny and I doing an episode together. And we talked about all the old days in El Paso and not too much about the bands. We talked mainly about what he did in El Paso and when he left here and went out to L.A. and stuff that he did there. And he had quite a history. He did a lot of neat stuff, and boy, he's still doing. He's got 3 shows right now out of San Antonio, and
really,
yeah,
wow.
He does a podcast also, and in fact, the people that are hosting my show are the same people that host his. He turned me on to him, so yeah, he's still got it going. In fact, Sharon dated Sonny before I even knew her. That's how far back Sharon and Sonny go. And if you remember the name Pete Heinlein.
Oh yeah.
Well, Pete Heinlein.
You used to have a cabin up here.
Yeah, well, Pete's a dear friend of mine. We'll be doing a show together. But Pete he and Sonny were real tight, real close friends. And someday the
We
three of
worked
us
for
are going.
KINT was the radio station.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And Pete and his wife at that time, Marge, used to come over our house, Sue and my house, and we'd party together, Pete and Marge, and anyway, we had a good time.
Well, you never invited me over to your house to party with you, Ron.
I know.
well, all right.
You got a date up there in Albuquerque to go see him.
Well, no, we have done that before. I partied with him at his house, and
I can remember that. Yeah.
and I live to remember it. So, but
let's not talk about all that. That was pretty wild times.
Yeah,
we're supposed to keep it clean.
Yeah, well, no, I know we're gonna do that. But and we won't tell the story about Dalton walking through a screen door that night. We won't talk about that.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that one.
Oh yes, yeah. Or how many ex-wives I have.
Well, no. Well, if you want to talk about that, you can.
No, I don't.
I don't think you have time.
Oh gosh.
Funny, Randy.
No. I gotta share another quick story. This was my second story that I said I was going to talk about, and it was going to be around. Oh gosh, it was. Oh, what year would that have been? I don't know. Probably around 1980. No, it was after I got off the road. I got off the road in 78. We went on the road in 73. I got off in 78. So around 1980, because we had bought our house. And so one day I called up Ron and I said, let's go play racquetball. He said, that sounds good to me. I'll meet you at your house around 5 or so. So he pulls up in his vintage vehicle that everybody would just love to have. What kind of car was that, Ron?
It was some old Rambler. A Rambler station wagon.
What?
Oh God!
What was
I was thinking that Chevy you had.
Oh yeah, that was cool. It was a '68 Chevelle Super Sport. Yeah.
No, but this was I think it was a Nash Rambler station wagon, right?
Yes. Yeah. And I bought it for $500.
There you go.
Really fast.
There you go. Well, let me continue with this story. So he parks it in front of the house. We live in a cul-de-sac, and he parks it right in front of the house. And anyway, I hadn't told Sharon that I was going to go play racquetball that day, but she came home, and Ron and I had already left in my car to go over to the racquetball court. And so she gets home, and she sees this unfamiliar car parked in front of our house, and she thought somebody had broken into our house or something. She didn't know, So, and we didn't have cell phones and stuff those days. So she goes on in the house, and she's kind of looking around, and then she's thinking, I think I need to call the cops on this one, because she didn't really know what to think, So,
yeah, right.
and so she had to do a couple of things. She had to let the cops know to have the car towed, because those days you had to let them know, because after 2 or 3 days you could have it towed, and she didn't know whose car it was or whatever. So so anyway, she goes into the kitchen and she's getting something out of the fridge, and the freezer compartment was on the top of the fridge. So she raises up, and the door on the freezer had swung out, and she hit herself really hard when she came up. And so she grabbed her head. About that time, the doorbell rings. So she's holding her head. She goes to the door. Cops are standing there going, "Are you okay, lady? Are you okay?" And she's going, "Oh my gosh." She said, "I just hit my head really hard on the freezer door." And she said, "I'm fine, and anyway, they were just doing a follow-up, on her. And so, long story short, we get home from playing racquetball, and I walk in, and she's still in pain, and I'm going, "What's going on?" And she said, "Oh, I hit my head." She said, "And I didn't know whose car that was out there. I thought we were being robbed and all that." And I said, "Sweetheart, that was Ron Gorton's car." And she felt so bad, and everything. But anyway, that's that's my racquetball story with Ron.
Not to mention that it was a horrible racquetball player.
Oh,
Sure.
we both were, but the mere fact is that we were trying our best to learn the game, and
Get some exercise.
yeah, I think I burned you a couple of times, Ron, but other than that, I don't think I ever got very proficient as a racquetball player. So so those were crazy fun days.
We're talking about Long John Hunter. I guess he moved down to Houston. He's since passed on.
Yeah.
But I picked up this guitar player magazine. It had Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top on the cover. And I read that thing. He said, "Who's some of your influences?" He started naming off his whole blues player. And he said, "And then Long John Hunter." Whoa!
You're kidding?
I'm serious.
Wow!
I still have the magazine too.
Do you have it?
Yeah.
Oh man, I would love to. If you could make a copy of that for me, the article, and I'll repost it. Man, that's the kind of stuff I love to read about.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, we used to go see Long John. I mean, he was amazing. In fact, Donna Pence, who was a member of a band that I had called the Sacred Mushroom. This was right around our freshman year at UTEP. She was a freshman the same year I was. And this is before we formed the band, the Basic Sound, and before I played with the West Hampton Barge. We had this band called the Sacred Mushroom. And that
sounds like the 60s.
Yeah, definitely was. And she had organized the last time Long John played. It was in a club out off of, or a bar out off of Mesa, out near, across the street from Copenhagen Furniture. I can't remember the name of the place. They torn it down now, but it was a pretty cool little place. And anyway, Long John was playing. Jack Woodbury was playing guitar with him. Nando on drums.
But to the King's X?
No. King's X was down by UTEP. No,
Okay.
this was way up north. And then also was I think Jimmy and Gary Leah might have been playing with them that day. Yeah. But anyway, it was really good. Rod and I were together that day and went over and got a picture with Long John and everything. He really, it was really fun seeing him back up there, and doing it again. He passed not too long after that.
Yeah. I remember he had a sax player for a while, Mike Duva.
Yes. Remember the name.
He used to call him Mike Dua.
Yeah. He was
Randy, I noticed on Rick's chat thing for the radio there, somebody asked him whatever happened to Bert Peters.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to him?
Well,
last I heard he was in Atlanta or something.
No, he's not living in Atlanta. He's in I think Alabama, somewhere in Alabama.
Yeah.
And I talked to him. Actually, when you guys played my first Border Legends in 2009, I was doing everything I could to find him, and nobody really knew where he was. And and unfortunately, fortunately, right after the show, I did find somebody that had a contact number or whatever on him, and I reached out to him, and we did talk, and I've talked to him 2 or 3 times since then. He still had a couple sets of drums in his garage, but he wasn't playing anymore. He got into the construction business or something, and then a few years ago he did lose his wife, so he wasn't doing music at all anymore.
Yeah, I was just about ready to do that too, after retiring from Flying J. I said, man, I've done everything I dreamed of doing. And each story...
I haven't played for 40 years, but my fingertips still don't have any fingerprint.
You have neuropathy? Is that what it is?
I don't know. I guess I totally erased everything that was on my fingertips because of my guitar playing. I don't know.
Well,
yeah. When I retired from Flying J, I was playing the heavy gauge strings and the acoustics, and went back to my telly.
Yeah.
and started bending strings. God, ouch! It's part of the callus.
Calluses were gone, right?
Well, the calluses for straight on the strings
Yeah.
were there, but just
Yep.
I go a little further up the finger, I guess, for the bending of the strings. God, it hurt.
Yeah.
It was gone in about a couple of days. As I
Yeah.
reformed those.
And Randy, we
Oh.
put a few things of blood on our guitar necks. It would split sometimes, and
I
the
know.
string would stick in the split you had. Oh gosh, and you bleed all over your guitar. Oh my gosh, that was not fun.
Not a pretty sight.
Yeah. Well, it happens for sure. Well,
yeah.
You guys have any other funny stories or anything you want to share before we close out on this thing?
Rick, we could go on for hours and hours, so maybe we could do it again sometime.
Well, we definitely can. I've just
About the music, yeah.
I was just trying to see if there was any one final, story that you guys can remember that you want to.
I'm trying to
take us out with.
Well, it's so great you're doing this, Rick. It really is.
Well, thank you, guys. This all came about. I guess we can kind of blame it on COVID because my work basically came to a standstill.
Everybody's did.
Everybody's. My clients and all were not working, or they were closed, or whatever, and so that kind of brought everything to a halt. And so Sharon one day said, "Why don't you do a podcast?" And I'm going, really? So it took me about a year to figure it out, and get all my equipment in and all that. I did clean out my home office and turned it into a studio. So it's been fun. I've really been enjoying it. I've had some fun, engaging conversations, with some pretty neat players out there. I guess the latest one with Bobby Rydell was pretty cool,
Wow.
and I'm getting ready to do one this Friday with a comedian that we performed with when we were traveling on the road by the name of Pete Barbuti. And Pete was one of the people that I really had a lot of fun with when we were on the road. He was really funny and a great guy to perform with. We performed with him up in Winnipeg, Canada. And so anyway, we're going to do I reunited with him a couple of weeks ago. It was really cool, and he remembers the old days where we played and all of that. So we're going to let him do his shtick,
Yeah, he got some good talks.
Yeah, he's funny. He's been on Johnny Carson like 15 plus times. He's done a lot of neat stuff. In fact, Shecky Green, the famous Shecky Green, he and Shecky have breakfast every Monday morning together still. So and he lives
good for them.
He lives in Vegas. So actually, Pete lives in Richardson, but that's right by there. So, but they get together and do their thing. So it's kind of cool. But anyway, well, guys, I think we're gonna wrap this one up. Then it's.
Are you? I got one quick thing. Are you still doing the Border Legends?
I haven't. The last one that we did was 2016, and we have because Rod was my co-producer, Rod Crosby.
Right.
We
Sure.
have we kind of had to put this thing on a back burner because Rod. He's about 4 years older than I am, 4 or 5 years older, and he wanted to. It takes a lot of time, He was doing the whole backline and everything for me, all the equipment in the front of the house, PA, all that, and I was doing the groups and promotions, and it was a great team. We really worked well together. But I can't do it all by myself, especially from a financial standpoint. It's just very. It can't happen, So
yeah, from a physical point too,
Yeah, and the El Midas Shrine, that was just a perfect place for us because we had a green room. It was a big stage. We could put a lot of people in there. 800-900 people. It was just a perfect place, perfect venue for a show like that. And they were very accommodating. Things kind of changed up there. They have different people. When my dad was alive, things were different. I knew a lot of his cronies, a lot of his good buddies up there, and they were dear friends, and they're gone now. They've
That's
passed
kind
on.
of funny. My dad was in Elmira Shrine too.
Yeah.
I still have his hat, the fez.
Yeah, his fez.
Oh,
Yeah.
fez,
So I got my dad's also, and I got my dad's Masonic ring, and
me too.
it's really it's kind of sad. A lot of these old guys are gone now. The changing of the guards, and their newer ones are not the same. They're just not the same.
Oh no, yeah.
They do things differently. They think differently, and so for that reason, I don't have the venue anymore to work with, and so I don't know. It would be nice to bring it back. Brian Kennedy said that I could use the Coliseum sometime to do it, and he would be very great to work with. But it's too big. The Coliseum's too big. It would lose.
Yeah, you kind of more intimate.
Yeah, we need the intimate space. And as
we played there once, Randy, with the box tops, 14,000 people were there.
Yeah, at the Coliseum. Yeah. But at
I played. I was playing with Moon Pie, and we opened up for KISS over there.
Very cool.
Man, well, I had all the guitars and stands upstairs, and went back up to check on them, and excuse me, retune them. I hear these Mexican kids crawling through the window. I went, shit. Oops. But bleep. But I thought, God, if I'd waited a little bit longer, those guitars might be gone. But they just want to get in, go see KISS, without paying.
Yeah.
But it was kind of scary, Bob Seger was supposed to open for KISS. He couldn't make it. So the local promoter, before KISS really got superstars, but I was up there with the guitars, and the guy said, "If a couple announcements. First, Bob Seger's not going to be here, and then we got a local band's going to play." But 3,000 boos. I don't know how many people were there, but I'm not going out there.
Well,
that was a Moon Pie, and I told the guys, let's just play every rock and roll song we know. We're still kind of country rock.
Yeah.
But towards the end, they're applauding us. I guess I thought, well, you guys are trying. But that was one of the weirdest concerts I've ever done.
Yeah. Well, you've done a bunch of cool ones, I remember, and we'll talk about that on a Moon Pie episode sometime. We've got some good memories about that and everything too that we'll definitely do an episode on. But guys, let's go. I guess we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. And it's been fun spending the last hour with you guys. We'll do another one down the road and talk about some other things that. It'll take a little more time to plan out more stories because, unfortunately, when you hit 70 plus, the memories don't, the stories don't come as fast as they used to.
No.
Oh, really?
Oh,
but like we talked about, Ron will bring up something like what I was thinking about Donald walking through the screen door.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that now. Just there's so much stuff. There's so much stuff that we've experienced in our lifetime. You can't remember it all.
No,
it's just triggered.
Well, and some of it you don't want to remember.
That's true. Yes, exactly.
Or don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or we can't talk about it on air.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, guys,
okay, thanks so much.
Let's wrap it up. I appreciate you guys so much, and stay safe, and we'll get together soon, okay? In the meanwhile, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in today. I'd like to say major thanks to the El Paso History Radio Show, Jackson Polk and Melissa over there for helping us out promoting this show, and Barbara Given-Baney with Remembering El Paso When. We appreciate her and sharing our shows and everything on her site. You all take care out there, and remember, keep it real, be nice to each other, And until next time, we'll see you from Talkin' Rock Studios. Take care. This is Rick Kern signing off.